The song is just too good. I don't want to turn it down. Plus I'm eating a meal bar. Protein bar? Yeah. I wasn't really expecting to grab a nom-noms. Okay, here we go. Are we ready? I might not be. But here we go anyway. Hello, hello, hello. Gotta eat sometimes. And welcome to another One Line of Code. I am One Line. I'm getting some Google alerts for signing into my YouTube channel and going live and all that stuff. So I am streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Restream seems to be cooperating. So if we do end up getting messages in YouTube, we should see them here on Twitch. And if we do end up getting messages on Twitch, we should see them here in YouTube, whatever that means. Okay, there's a lot of delay. But hi, Bit Gamey, best bits of the internet, best bit on the internet. And President Not Sure is here, and Dugasoft. Is that new, doing both at the same time? Yeah, so I had been wanting to do it for a little bit, saw that TBD was doing it, and I waited for him to work out all of the quirks and give the information that worked for him. And once he did, I downloaded the plugin that he said he uses in OBS, and I'm using Restream for the chat only, not to do the simulcast. But I used to stream to both YouTube and Twitch. I started off streaming only to YouTube, Then I used Restream to stream to YouTube and Twitch, and then I realized that Twitch, if you become an affiliate, had that clause that says your content must be exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours and blah 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 blah. And then so I stopped streaming to YouTube since the majority of the views came from Twitch. Not that I'm really here for views, I'm here for the engagement. And then Twitch decided that no, you can stream to both now. It doesn't have to be a 24-hour exclusive thing anymore. I'm like, great, I want to get back into streaming to both because it's more convenient to upload the video to YouTube directly after the stream if I'm already recording and streaming to YouTube. So much easier. But anyway, hi, welcome in. Happy Wednesday to you. I started the stream early because when I stream, I get to feel all of that energized, forward-moving momentum that I crave. Not that I am, I'm typically very self-motivated. However, because of the massive amount of roadblocks that I've run into, I am getting demotivated to work on this specific project, but I need to get it done. And this morning, I ended up confusing myself even more. So we're going to get into that today. Big Gamey says, I see that begging has reached Twitch Whispers now too. Someone asked me for gas money today. Interesting. Did they provide something like a PayPal account or something? I'm making faces now because I got protein bar stuck in my gum. Good luck with that. I would love to help out where I can, but it's hard to trust that it's a valid source when it's coming through Twitch in a private message. So let me open up this Excel workbook that I've been working on so that you don't see all of the previously named workbooks that I have opened. Work stuff. Project. Hello, TBD Gamer. Fantastic stream this morning. I know it feels like you're just struggling through it, but you are doing an amazing job at sticking with it and getting it to work and doing what you can. So TBD is currently trying to deploy to Kubernetes a whole bunch of different services, trying to orchestrate them. He's using Pulumi to do so. His main project is a project management and planning application, and he's at a stage where he wants to see this live running. He has a local Docker, I think is how that's working. He has a local cluster, a local set of containers. I don't know the terminology. I'm just saying things that I heard him say. And saying it incorrectly, but he's deploying it essentially to his local machines and just providing a way for him and only people that he invites to test it out to work on it. That way he can avoid the cost of trying to host everything on a cloud service when it's all just for testing and still in development at the moment. Okay, projects. We'll get to my screen once I get this thing opened. New lab data process. And I will point out development info. All right. And I will point out that I have updated the rules because of something that happened on TBD stream, and it was just harmless when it happened on his stream, and I think he handled it really well. But just so you know, I am not interested in trying to discuss any of the current events that are hot topics, I guess. I want to continue trying to get my job done and focus on the work that I am doing. So I've updated the chat rules to indicate that this isn't the place really to discuss those types of topics. And here is what you can expect to happen if you try to violate those wishes. I'm going to call them wishes. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm here for the work. Exactly. Oh yeah, there's this thing, which is... I have trouble turning my hand. Look, it's reacting to me petting it. Kawaii little kitten. Cat. Whatever it's called. Sitting on this nice little nook. Oh, anyway. Okay, to the desktop. So, hello Juan Van, since I hadn't greeted you yet. Big Amy did say that that he reported the Twitch profile, and Twitch took the profile down. But good morning. Was wondering why I had to accept something. Yeah, so it's just because I updated the rules and spelled it out a little more clearly, but essentially if you're just talking about a topic that I've been saying this already since I started doing my work product on stream. If you start discussing a topic that I'm not interested in discussing on this channel, like you can talk about topics amongst yourselves. It's not that I need to be involved in every topic, and you might talk about things that I'm not really interested in talking about, but they are innocent enough, like maybe Kubernetes. So they are relevant to this channel's content. I just won't engage with them because they will be derailing from the stuff that I'm trying to get done. But if they are topics that are just the ones that I may have opinions and thoughts about, but I do not feel that this is a place to discuss those topics. And I will warn you first, per topic, if you continue trying to talk about that topic, I will time you out. And then after your timeout ends, if you continue trying to talk about it, I'll ban you. And we can jump directly to ban depending on how hard the offense is, all that stuff. And then if you continue doing it over multiple topics, I'll warn you for the first few and be like, that is also not a topic. But then if it becomes a pattern that's like, yeah, you're just trying to test the limits, and it's like, this is not a place to test the limits for that. This is a place to test the limits of software development and making cool things and uplifting each other. That's my favorite thing to do. But this just isn't the stream for that. Tested! Test crash. Please do your testing on your own gear. I took a soft. I test limits of... I test the limits of my patience with software development. Yeah, push the limits of software performance. Exactly. Okay, so it is very much. So what I have on screen, for anyone that is looking at the screen, I don't expect any of you to watch the stream because you're busy doing your own thing. But for those of you that happen to be paying attention to this or watch the recording of this, I think I've finally written this down in a way that I can follow. The thing that I've been struggling with the most with this project is, even if I do a UML diagram, a class diagram, a use case diagram, a state diagram, I'm still not fully understanding the flow of data through this application anymore. I've completely lost the plot, is how I'll say it. I've made it so complex for myself that I can't keep up with it. And so what I tried to do is get a handle on it. Again, what is this, the fourth time that I'm doing it on stream? But it's actually really simple in the long run. So the thing that I needed to look at is, what is the intended main entry point of the data import utility? And that is this imported data file class. That class is when you pick a file or when you provide a file, then you get the file name, the extension for that file, whether it has a header, row, or not when you're trying to read, although this should be by sheet. That'll be fun. Essentially, this is going to be by data table. And then I added this new thing, and this is what was happening is I was tearing pieces out, rearranging them, putting some pieces back in different places, and then I just made a mess, which is fine because I'm understanding it more. But I added this target type, and the target type is going to be the destination list of target type, list of this class that we're trying to convert the imported file into by using all of these data mappings, by doing all of the transformations. And the thing that prompted me to do this was there was one overarching issue that the application had, or the library had. It worked and it looked like it was going to work perfectly if all we were doing was copying the values from one column of the imported record into the target type class property. But as soon as I started doing things like thinking about, can we have a conditional map where it says if this field says this, then import the value from this field after transforming it, or if it's not that, then import it from this other field while transforming the value and putting it into the destination property of the target type, as well as combine the values of multiple imported fields while transforming their values and then combining them together in some way and dumping that into the destination property for the target type. That's when it got super complex. So I keep calling it application. The library was complete as far as being able to copy from one import field to one destination property type. The requirement is that one import field could map to multiple destination types. Oh, I guess that does work too. Or multiple import fields could map to one destination. So anyway, this is a diagram. I don't know what you call these. A tree of how the classes relate to each other. So if we start with that all important import data file, that data file has a dictionary of string imported record field descriptor. So what this is the list of fields per data table that were read from the import file. That's fun. So one import record field descriptor is one column in your imported file. And I would show that now, but I can't run the app because, again, I've torn it apart, put it back together in weird ways, and haven't updated the methods. So there are errors everywhere. But you can picture an upload button. You pick a file, and then it shows you the results of the data table. One Excel workbook may have multiple worksheets. Each of those worksheets becomes a data table in the ultimate data set. So the data set, which I should probably put higher up. I'm going to put you up here. Okay, so the imported data file, once you pick the file, then you would call set data after re-importing the data however you choose to import it, as long as the resulting object that you get back is a data set with multiple 0 or more data tables, I should say. The process of setting the data, which we'll see when we look at that, you can see that this data here, you can read, you can get the data, but you cannot set it outside of this class. And the reason is because I want this set data method to be called so that it does all of the rest of the setup needed for this imported data file, which is to populate the list of field record field descriptors. I'm thinking of creating a new object because dictionary of string, comma, whatever else is typically pretty hard to understand what it represents. Here we're relying on the variable name to understand what it is, but it's pretty much, like I said, the list of imported fields per table name from the data set. So this would be more like a data table field descriptors object. They blame me testing the archery and it works. Thank you so much for testing it. When it says set data, that's the kind of thing where I get confused. What data is it talking about? Imported data, parse data? Good question, yeah. I should really consider that. Keep that in mind. I will write it down so that I don't forget it, because that is true. It is going to confuse me just because of the wording as well. And we were talking about the imported data file class. Congratulations, 83 points. Holy cow. I was trying to drink my water if the lid's still on. Okay, so we will we'll check to see if it makes sense from a developer standpoint when we look at the actual code, because I do have XML comments on everything. So we'll be able to tell is that thing now reporting correct results? No. No, it's still going to be all over the place. It will get the base score, but I don't know if the value that it's giving you is the base score plus bonus or just the base score, and then it didn't even report how much bonus points you got. But it is one of them. It's definitely going to be either your base score or your base score plus bonus. We can work on that more on Friday. Oh man. I tried to do a cool thing and then it's like, I'm just gonna start telling you lies now. As if it wasn't already. Okay, we'll talk about the imported record field descriptor in a second, but let's keep going with the imported data file. So again, I'm mostly doing this for myself, but if you happen to be following along and you understand it, and you do have questions like President Not Sure did, then I'll note down the question. We'll verify it. We'll make sure that it's nice and clean and understandable. It's still cool. You'll fix it. Who knows? Who knows? I have an idea of what we can do, which is just to give the LLM prompt the information as a markdown table or a CSV. Okay, so the next thing that an import data file has is the collection of how to transform the imported data into the target type by data table. So once again, the first, I don't know what these are called when they are inside of a generic. The first generic type in here just says string, but I don't, in the future, if I come back to it, I'm gonna be like, what does this represent? And this is intended to be the data table name that these mappings are for. Then a field mapping is the instruction for one output property. How do I get the value for that from the imported data? So that's what a field mapping is. Then we go down here to just a record count for me to be able to display that on the UI, whatever. Probably don't even need this in the library. I don't think that I use it for determining whether or not to run any of these methods, but the easy thing to do would be to say, give me the record count to let me know if we have not gotten any table data anywhere, ever. love that pick. Oh my gosh. So Big asked Automated Realms, can you just say I scored 100 next time, even if it's not true? And Automated Realms is like, of course, Big Next time I'll make sure to give you a perfect score, even if it's not entirely accurate. Remember, practice makes perfect, so keep honing your skills and have fun. Or cheat and leave your skills as is, says President Not Sure. Watch it be like... Watch it be like, you got 100, but your real score was... Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, trying not to be distracted by notifications, but paying attention for work stuff that does come up eventually. I did have a request to add some values to a drop-down for another application while I'm trying to work on this. Okay, what else did we have? These are... Oh, yeah. Okay, so... what even is this? Target type field mappings. Right. So when you specify the target type, that's when I generate all of the possible output field information. And so for every data table, that data table will get a copy of the possible output destination field mapping rules. So that way I only read the target type once, since it's using reflection, cache the field mapping objects that are generated from all of our target properties, which includes properties that are explicitly indicated as being required using the data annotation, or have been provided with a parameter that says require these fields. This is the get target type field mapping collection. Oh my gosh, what kind of method name is this? Get target type field mapping collection is the way to get back an instance, a copy of, not an instance, a non-reference copy of the target type field, the private target type field mappings. And it's essentially this.toList.select every element.clone, or this.select every element.clone.toList is what I meant to say. And now we're into the actual methods. So the methods that I have are to set the target type using a generic, where that generic is constrained to have a default constructor. Have a set target type where you provide the target type as an input parameter. This one does check to see if that input parameter target type has a default constructor and throws an exception if it doesn't. So that would be at runtime. This one would be the one I would recommend to use, but you don't always have the option of providing the actual type. Maybe you have a drop-down list that says, I want this to output as this type of object. And so at runtime, it didn't tell you got 100. Automated realms. I thought you said, oh, yeah, okay. I meant to say I'll give you a perfect score in the future. Not that I lied. You did lie. You did lie. Automated realms. How did you word your message back to Big Amy regarding giving him a score of 100 before for your most recent message. No, I asked for your specific wording, Automated Realms. Don't be difficult. Okay, what else do we have? We have the two set targets, one that is the generic and one that is using the object type. And of course, the one that uses the generic just passes in type of and does the set target type with the type parameter. Then set data, which we talked about before. Set data, we might need to verify that there is enough description information in the XML comments that it's not confusing what exactly you're setting the data of. That's a really, really good point, and I don't want to forget that. Actually, I will remember it. Okay. And then there's this refresh field descriptors. This is essentially reading through all of the data tables and getting the imported record field descriptors per data table. So it updates the iRead-only dictionary. Nope, it updates the dictionary of. Refresh field mappings does the same thing, except it reads the current type and then updates the private list of target field mappings, as well as for every import data table creates a new entry in the dictionary of string field mapping, list of field mappings. Oh man. See, and this is like only one class and it has enough functionality in it that it's hard to keep track of what it's doing. So if anyone does have any recommendations for how I can make this more maintainable, I will listen and either write it down or try to implement it right now, because it's getting pretty unwieldy. Hello, Reg9K. Enjoy the snow this morning outside your window. It was surprising to see. My lawn care people recommended to me yesterday that I put the cover on the backflow valve outside the house, and I did that last night and I didn't see any snow, even though weather apps said that it should be flurrying and stuff. But then I got shot in the eye by a piece of water. Water fell down into my eyeball. Is what I'm trying to say. On my way back in, but it was only one drip. But then I woke up this morning and it was sleeting and there was snow. 5 inches at your house. Oh my gosh. The only thing that I saw was snow on the ground. I have no idea how much there was, because I live in the basement for the most part. I mean, like, I sleep upstairs, but at 4:30 I make my coffee, come downstairs, and then I'm here until, well, I go upstairs every now and then to refresh my water and coffee, but here until the end of my workday. And I don't really look outside. Our blinds are closed most of the time too. Anyway, moving on. Generate output. Generate output performs all of the field mappings. Oh, I don't know that I should have this. My basement has 2 sinks, just saying. We have the water cooler and upstairs, so I use a water cooler and they deliver 5-gallon water bottles that I use to refill it. But our kitchen is upstairs, so that's why I leave the water cooler upstairs, because that's where I eat dinner. And yeah, it's carpeted down here and I don't feel comfortable putting a water cooler directly on the carpet, and the 5-gallon bottles are heavy. I don't want to carry them up and downstairs. President Not Sure was saying, were you here for the start of the stream? And Reg said, missed it, working. Okay, so I'm not 100% sold on the generate output of generic target type, because the target type should always be set before running any kind of generate output method. Thank you so much for the follow. I have names turned off on the follows, on the follow message on screen, but you are definitely welcome to chat if you feel like it, but I don't want to make you feel like you have to or call you out or put too much attention on you. But I do appreciate your follow, and I will happily call you out if you are interested in that. Okay. I think as I'm looking at this, this is the only way to apply all of the field mappings. Yes, I am. So Kedem Codes is here and says, hi there, thanks. Are you using Excel for code? Of course, who doesn't? Excel is the best database. It's the best IDE. Ignore me. I'm using it to visualize. So I do have, can I get to it from here? Lucid app. I don't know why I had this over there. That was just my stream schedule that I was trying to update. Can you just open instead? Hello? Just take me to the app. So I did try to make a class diagram for this library. If you didn't hear before, this library is a data import utility where you choose an Excel workbook or CSV and you transform it into some C# class. BitGamey said, when I moved from Notepad to Excel, it was such a step up. The functions are amazing. Oh man. Are those clients in the room with us now? They aren't. It'd be cool if they were. I could always take some feedback from them. It's just that I've been working on this particular library for a really long time, and I'm kind of afraid, like, I imagine negative things which I don't mean to, and I'm catching myself doing it, and I'm trying to change that about myself, but I'm like just imagining them being like, why is he taking so long on this small thing? It's like, have you ever tried writing a converter library? The other thing that I wanted to do first was to find an existing library that turns Excel or CSV into C# class. The issue is that none of them that I've found have provided a way to transform the data before dumping it into the output. So anyway, point is, I have tried mapping out the class structure. So here's this import data file. I haven't updated this, so there are a lot more methods on this now, but the import data file, the import record field descriptor list, which is now a dictionary of string import record field descriptor. And I just tried to follow it, but it wasn't making as much sense to me as this kind of hierarchical view that is more like, I don't know, it kind of looks like YAML a little bit, or Python, but yeah. I'm able to look at everything that I need to at a glance here. So the thing that I'm not understanding how I'm doing at the moment is how am I applying all of the transformations? Right. Okay. I did think about this. And what I could have done, I take notes like you have here. I can't really follow code flow in UML type diagram. I probably could if I actually did make a flow chart, flow diagram, not chart. I just didn't. I haven't. I don't know. This is what I could do. I could make a version of this that does not take a type parameter, so that it uses the set type, and then let the user convert each object in the collection themselves. There's plenty of UML diagram types. Some are nicer than text and some are just wasted space. Yeah, I really thought that a class diagram was going to be the most efficient way for me to visualize this application, this library, but I can't. I'm gonna bold this so that I remember to add it. I could make this method here for generating the output based on the set target type that was set earlier. So I'm going to do that. And these are some helper methods, private methods for get fields to map to for a... Oh, generate. So this is the one where we are actually creating the field mapping objects. And we can either do it using the generic or with the type parameter. And then merge valid field mappings. So when you're switching files and when you are switching target types, you have the opportunity to keep all of the existing field mapping information that has already been put together there, and then only updating new properties that are different from your previous target type or your previous import records, and then keeping the ones that are the same, so you don't overwrite any work that has already been done. I don't know that that's a good idea, but I have it. Then the last thing that I did with the import data file is I did make a generic version that is just the base version, but with a generic parameter of target type that has a parameterless constructor. When you use this type, the constructor, the parameterless constructor, will call set target type on creation. And so the intent of this is everything that you do in here is going to give you back something of this T target type. You can also have a constructor where you specify which fields to ignore and which fields to require. And by fields here, these are actually properties from your target type. So those should probably say property. Yeah, ignore properties. Same thing here. Yeah, then that means that I should call the other thing a property map. I'm going to keep it as fields for now since I've been using fields this whole time. Oh yeah, sequence diagrams are great. That's the one that I was thinking of, I think. I think I was calling it a flow diagram, but a sequence diagram is the one where you have actor on the left and then the thing that they are doing and then what that calls and so on, and then the calls that go back and forth. That one's a sequence diagram, right? I also use text to diagram. Mermaid JavaScript or Mermaid JS is my favorite. Cool. And then I missed this comment. Microsoft Office and PDF are just plain hell. It's never a small thing. Yeah. Actor and stuff is the sequence diagram. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so that describes the import data file. The only thing that I was wondering about was this. And Snubble is here. Hello, Snubble. Snubble says, I like web sequence diagrams. Cool. I don't know what they are, but if they are helpful to you, then awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the field record descriptor class real quick to see if there's anything that I want to change about it. The field record descriptor class, I said that so wrong, imported record field descriptor class is, again, you pick a file, it reads the columns and uses Data Excel Reader. For my implementation, you can use whatever implementation you want to go from, oh, it's a site, awesome. Definitely feel free to click on that if you're interested in it. I'm going to keep working on this. The imported record field descriptor is the description of one of the columns from the data you are importing. So for me, that means that when data file reader turns the imported file into a data table or a data set with 0 or more data tables, for each data table that is created, it is one data column. But the imported record field descriptor can also hold all of the values for that column in order of row, in row order. So the imported record field descriptor will have a reference to its parent import data file, and that's required, which means that I can never use an imported record field descriptor without having had created an imported data file. I think that makes sense to do. And then which of the tables from the imported data file is this for? That table must be a valid table in there because I have a read-only property that is accessible everywhere that says, here's where you can get a reference to the table based off of that table name. And then finally, the field name is required as well for that column. It can be an empty string, but it must be populated. It can't be null. And then we get the type information again from Excel Data Reader, but you can get it using whatever data reader you want to implement yourself, as long as that data reader outputs a data set with data tables. The object array will be the collection of values for that field from the data or that table. And finally, you can update the value set, which is a void method that says using the imported data file, actually using the data table is what this method specifically uses, but as you can see, that uses the imported file. That should be imported data file. Which, if that's misspelled, then that means that it's not actually in code. So I need to verify that that is. Okay, so you're essentially updating the value set, which I have as public set. I don't know that I want that as public set. And the other thing about this is I am giving you back the reference to the object array, so you could do things like manipulate individual values, individual elements in this array. because you have access to the reference itself, which might not be something I want to do, but I'm kind of trying not to guard against way too many things anymore because I'm already way over time budget on this. And it's not like I set a time, but they really did need this last month. And finally, all of these do have a clone method, except for import data file, right? But everything else does have a clone method, so that when I'm editing it, all I have to do is get a clone of the thing that I'm editing. That way I can undo changes. Now, if I knew how to implement something like the event, what is it called? The one that's actually intended for being able to undo. So you can apply the events in the order. Like you're only tracking the events that are happening to a specific record or to a class or properties or whatever. And then you can replay those events. You can undo those events by removing some from the sequence. But the way that I've been doing it is just to make them clonable. Okay, so that's that. The field mappings, as I mentioned, a field mapping is for our destination target type. Here are all of the properties and information about those properties, as well as how to transform the data from the source into this destination. This is where it gets pretty muddy for me. It used to be the case that the mapping rule base was only a mapping rule base that said what to do after you apply all of the transformations. So the mapping rule base pretty much stopped here, which is the mapping rule base has an event that says that the definition for this mapping rule has changed. For my enums that get source generated, I have these required abstract properties, enum value, which you have to maintain as a developer in your own code so that they are always the same enum value, so that if you ever delete one, then you can still maintain it. Like if you're storing this in the database and you're actually keeping track of your mapping rules in the database, yeah, then you can still, I don't know, there's something about it. It's essentially a way for you to make a drop-down list of mapping rules and keep them in order. The name of the mapping rule, so something like copy rule. So copy means that you are copying the value from your source field or fields into your destination. Just source field, singular field. And if you are using a combine rule, then that is you take the values from your source field or fields after they've been transformed and combine them together in a specific way and output that as your value. The description is obviously, let me just tell you what this thing does, so that in the UI, if you wanted to, you could have a little eye icon that says, here's information about this specific rule, or a tooltip, or whatever, which those exist and it works. And then the rule detail, which is just how do I, are there any extra arguments for applying this specific rule? And then is empty will be defined by your implementation of the rule. And is empty is essentially the thing that tells us, are we going to ignore this rule because it's not actually getting any data from, it hasn't defined any fields to get data from, which essentially means that for that field mapping, for that property, we're going to ignore it. We aren't going to ever try to get values for that field mapping. And then it has so this is what I recently added. This used to be directly inside of the field mapping. So the field mapping kept track of all of its field transformations. Where do I get the data to populate this field? Problem was that if I'm using something like a combine rule, I really didn't have a way of providing a single approach to how do I combine the values from multiple field transformations. And so I'm leaving it up to the mapping rule base implementation to specify how to do that. Other methods inside of the mapping rule base specifically are, other properties. The source fields in use is a read-only that pretty much gets all of the source fields that have a source field. Every field transformation that has a field described in it. And then for this specific rule, how many total source fields am I allowed to have? For a copy rule, it's 1. For an ignore rule, it's 0. For any other rule, it's ushort.max value. And it's ushort.max value by default. And I'm using an unsigned short because negative numbers don't make sense. Although I could have used -1 to indicate any number of, but then I would have done a less than 0 could mean any number of, but it just didn't make sense when you're thinking about what this actually interprets as. Okay, then the apply, which is abstract. So the two actual how to apply this mapping rule to the entire data set that's contained within each of the individual transformation sources, field transforms. Those two are abstract and must be defined by the implementation. Then there's a whole bunch of these virtual methods that you get for free, which are how to apply it to a provided set of transformation results, how to apply it to a data table, how to apply it to a data row. And what this essentially is the default implementation of these is to use the field transformations, the source fields, .apply using this. Then it consolidates all of them into one field transformation and passes it to the abstract apply. Gosh, I just got lost. That one doesn't make as much sense and probably needs to be cleaned up. But that's what these are intended to do. Provide default implementations for how to apply the mapping rules, any mapping rule, to a collection of transformation results, data table, data row. So data table would give us back multiple transformation results, one per row in the table, which of course just means call data row, apply data row for each row. Combine results by field. Yeah, this is all very murky. The combine results by field is a basic way to say for each field, for each row, we have the potential to get transformed values from multiple columns. So I need a way to combine all of those into one. For one row, I need a way to combine all of the results that we got from the transformations into one result. I am not going to be able to keep track of that. I mean, yes, I am. I'm working on it. And then same thing with the dictionary of string IEnumerable. So this dictionary of string IEnumerable and dictionary of string transformation result, I really need to make objects for these because I can't remember what the string represents. I'm pretty sure the string represents the imported record field descriptor dot field name for each rule. So for every transformation source, they have an import record field descriptor, and that import record field descriptor, as we saw before, has a field name. And so we can have multiple source fields for one field mapping. Oh yeah, and suddenly, for whatever reason, for field transformations, for individual field transformations, I started using a cancellation token. So you can cancel a field transformation. And the reason for that is because as I was mocking up a UI, as I was trying to get a POC ready, I realized that as you're making changes, I want to see the updated values in real time. But if you are in the middle of making another change and it's trying to compute all of the values for a given field transformation, then I want to cancel the previous run and start the next set of transformations again. So that's what the cancellation tokens are for. But that is only in the field transformation itself. Kind of feels like it needs to be in the value transformation base because the field transformations are the only ones that have these value transformations. So, as you can see, I didn't even get down here because that mapping, the field mapping applies. Where are you? The field transformation applies are just so, they don't fully make sense. So all of these here, they need to be reviewed. The add field transformation methods, these are helper methods, or not even helper methods. They are the only way for you to be able to update the source fields because there is extra logic that runs when you update a source field or the list of source fields. There are these events that get emitted from a field transformation called, no, there are events that get emitted from a value transformation base called onDefinitionChanged. There should be one for the field transformations that emits when the field transformation itself changes. And so the update the fields unregisters from all of the existing ones, updates the source fields, registers to all of the on transformation changes. We'll get there. So anyway, that's what the add, replace, remove are for, and then clear the list. There's also a clone method. Wait, this was really mapping rule base. Whoops. This was mapping rule base. So yes, mapping rule base has on definition changed. Oh my god. Why didn't you tell him he had 100? I saw it go through the target. At-Bit Gamey. Congratulations on being so good. You got a score of 100. The arrow flew right through the target because of how on point it was. Why are you telling me that point is misspelled? On point, not 1 point, on point. 1 point. To be deleted. I love your name. I keep laughing at it. The way that Automated Realms said it, to be deleted. You are not queued up to play. Use the archery redeem to queue up. So is that message about to be deleted, Automated Realms? Is that what you're saying? Anyway, there is a redeem for 1 paw point to do archery, if you would like to try your luck. And there it goes. So the first number is between 0 and 90. 0 and 90. Or sorry, negative 90, which is straight down, and 90, which is straight up, and then anything in between that. Are you aiming for the birds? And then the power is between 0 and 100. So 100 power equates to the average, I think it was, flight speed of an arrow shot by an Olympian from an Olympic arrow. The target is set to be between 35 and 70 meters, which is the max or the 70 meters is the distance of an Olympic target. So if you want to do the math, you can guess how far away the target is and how high up off the ground it is compared to your height, which are somewhere between 5 foot and 7 foot, I think, in US units, or I don't know what that equates to in UK units, 2.5 meters, maybe a little less than 2.5 meters to 2.7 meters. But yeah. Yes, I think that's 15 hogsheads in UK units. Nice. Close enough, right? Okay, so that's where we're at as far as structure. You can see that the imported data file has a whole bunch of imported record field descriptors per table that you're importing, as well as it holds the list of all of the field mappings for your destination object type. And the field mapping is really just property info with how to get the value for it. So property info is a reflection thing that you get by doing type of whatever the type is, .get properties, all of that. And then inside of each of the field mappings, as I said, we get the information on how to get the values for that given field, regardless of what table it is. But the source fields are specific to the table. And that's why I have here field mappings in this dictionary of string list of field mappings, because they are specific to a table at this point. I'm going to change this and this into an object, and anything that I see that is a dictionary of, I'm going to update them so that they are no longer dictionaries and they are concrete objects. Ugh. But the thing I'm concerned with is if I do a group by, so like let's say that I make an object specifically called data table field mapping, which is an object with the string table name and another property with a list of field mapping. And I'm going to try to add to that and remove from it and replace and all of that stuff. Field mappings. If I do a group by, is it going to change the order of the field when it gets displayed? We'll do that in a second. There was something else that I bolded that I need to remember. And then as soon as I add this thing that I bolded before, which is this method here. Then we'll take a look at the set data method and see if the descriptions are good. Okay, close everything because I was working on that computer over there and I just recently pushed with all of my errors and stuff to GitHub, but thankfully it's all in a branch, so I don't need to worry about breaking the main branch or anything, even though the main branch doesn't have anything in it. I really should have pushed my current progress to main branch before ripping everything apart, because that would have been implementable without being able to combine fields. Okay, so I pulled latest and we're going to go to, as I mentioned, the rules. Yeah, and then I was thinking of having an overarching engine, the rule engine itself, to control how you set the field, how you set target types and stuff like that. Abstractions is what I said. Okay, so our apply methods, there was the generate. Yeah, these need to be cleaned up. It's not in mapping rule base, it's an import. This isn't a model anymore. It has way too many methods to be a model. Not Acapulco. Acapulco. Okay. Actually, since we're here, I'm sure that I'm going to pass by set data. Sets the data for this imported data file and initializes the field descriptors and mappings. Data, the data to set for this imported data file. So this should be more like the data extracted, the data read from the selected, from the, oh my gosh, from the file source, from the source file. And this is actually going to be the generated data set, and this will be a CCREF data set produced when reading from a source file. Okay. So this should make it clear that the data file that we're looking for, the data set object that we're looking for in this method is specifically the immediate results of I read this file, turned it into a data set, didn't apply any transformations to it or anything. So I think that's clear enough. So this is set data, and then I'm just renaming this parameter to data set on my other screen. And we may as well rename the property to data set as well. So what I did there was a quick rename. Those of you that are used to using an IDE know that there is a rename refactoring command utility tool thing that you usually have access to. So that updated all references to it. Whoosh. Okay. So we're good to go. All right, and then the method that I wanted to add is in the apply methods, generate output table, generate output, and then there was a public enumerable of object, which could return null, generate output without a generic target type for a given table. So we generate that and we tell it to go to a type of object. Oh, object. Go Big Gamey. You can do it this time. Oh, I think that's the furthest away. So 70 meters away, maybe, what are you? 10? Yeah, it's about double your height. I was going to say 10 feet off the ground, but in meters, 3.2 meters off the ground. I just need it to whisper me the height and distance every time. Then I can give you hints. Oh man, there it was again. Went right through the target. You keep getting robbed. I don't math, I shoot, obviously. And you do a really good job of it too. It's more like a deduction game where you're like, too far, too close, just right. Except it's not just right, because the thing just steals it from you. Okay, so I added this one. I'm going to unbolt it from my workbook. Oh, and if you couldn't tell, the reason that my Excel workbook has the dark cells with the white text is because I manually changed it all because I was tired of seeing the default blinding light. And I did that on all of the sheets. Excel really, I mean, Microsoft really need to add that as an option for your default data view. Like if I printed this, then it would still also print with the dark background, but it should let you set your default background color and your default font color, and then when you print, it only prints those colors in black. Anyway, great. Now I have print my print preview lines showing. I don't know how to get rid of them once they start showing.
We don't need to print the internet.
No, we don't. You're right. You are absolutely right. Who would ever print an Excel workbook, an Excel spreadsheet? Anyway.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we added that one. The next thing, so President, not sure if you have an opinion on whether this is enough to clarify that in the set data method. Set data. Hello, Napalm. I hope your studying is going well. For AWS certification, I was about to say Oz certification, AWS certification stuff. So this is what I have for the description when you're going to use this method on import data file for the set data. It says sets the data for this import data file and initializes the field descriptors and mappings. And then when you're filling in the data set parameter, that description says the generated data set produced when reading from a source file. So is that, excuse me, mucus, thick saliva, blech. Is that enough to clarify, or should I name the variable something else, or should I name the method something else to be specific to like set imported data? Napalm says, it's a slog. It's the third time for me getting renewing, that is. So this is the third time you are studying for the second time you're studying for recertification, the third time. Anyway, you got certified and then you've already done one recertification, and this is your next recertification. Overall. I used to wear overalls a lot. It's like Groundhog's Day every 3 years. Sounds like the Security Plus certification. I do like the way Microsoft did it with their Azure certifications, where you just take the renewal test. As long as you take it before your certification expires, it gets renewed, even though it's every year. I still like that better than you need to do the entire proctor exam rigmarole. Wait, I think I'm wrong about the Security Plus certification. Security Plus, you pay the dues, you indicate that you have taken enough continuing education units, but I don't think you need to take the exam again. I think I was wrong. I misstated. Let's see if Automated Realms knows. Exam, renewing a Security Plus certification. If not, what I do to renew my cert? What do you know? To renew your Security Plus cert, you don't need to take a full exam. Instead, you can opt for a renewal process that involves professional development units, or CEUs, continuing education units, and maintaining your knowledge and skills in the field. Keep an eye on CompTIA's guidelines for specific requirements. At least you knew that it was CompTIA. And ensure you stay up to date with the latest industry trends. Good luck. Not bad. It wasn't a terrible answer. You forgot to say that you have to pay buku bucks for your privilege to have a Security Plus certification. They did the work for it. You guys didn't. Okay, so no response from President because he probably doesn't have an opinion on what I should do for that. Imported record field descriptor for table name. Did I misspell it? Oh, right. There's also that. So I'm going to rebuild, get all of my errors, and close and reopen Visual Studio, because when I pulled in the information... No, you are absolutely okay. I definitely don't want to... President, not sure, apologize for not responding. I don't want to put pressure on you to respond. I'm just going to move on with the assumption that you just didn't have a chance to respond, weren't able to. And thank you so much for the follow. Really, really appreciate it. I don't have names showing when you do follow on screen, but I do see your name, and I am sending you love. Thank you so much for the follow. I'm a bit Amy. And there you are. Hello, Lazy Dominoes. I love the name. I hope you're doing fantastic. So if you are brand new to the stream, I am working on my day job, and part of my day job, well, not part of, the current effort in my day job is to create a library for importing data from an Excel workbook or CSV and turning it into a C# object, which will eventually get record checked to make sure that all of the records are good and dumped into a database in the end. And so I'm reworking this library a bit. Another follow. Thank you so much. Oh man, you guys are being super duper kind. I really, really appreciate you. Yeah. So right now I am kind of struggling because I'm losing track of all of the work that I've done up to this point. The library would have been pretty straightforward. Read an Excel workbook and turn all of the worksheets into data tables within a data set. And then show a UI where the user can pick for this destination field property. I want it to come from this imported field, and then push the button, and then it does the transformation for all the records, turns it into that class, does everything else we need to do on that class that's already been written, and follow the yellow brick road, then follow one line. Yes. Or we can go down the yellow brick road together if you want to follow me. What was I saying? Yeah, so the complication came from the client saying we would like to be able to say that this field outputs to this field and this field, but you need to take only a portion of that red imported field and put it into that target property. And same with the other field, we want the second half of it. Ease on down the road from the whiz. And then the other one was taking two fields that got imported from the data set and combining them in some way and outputting them into one destination field. So that's when it started getting super complicated, and yeah, things just started breaking. But we're good. We're making a ton of progress. I am going to get this done. I have to get this done. What is this? Okay. Right. Okay. That's the other thing that I'm doing to myself. For everything that has an apply method, I am making some extension methods to be able to chain things together. So transformation result dot copy dot combine dot ignore whatever dot condition. It's not a great way of doing it. Yeah, but anyway, this thing is always going to return result with yeah, I'll do it like this. Now, is the worksheet going to have to be a specific structure, or it just works well on all exports? The only requirement is that the first row is either the first row of data or the column headers. And I wish I could show you the UI that I have for it so far, but I'll show you a couple examples of the data. So this one is a CSV. And it's the first row is the header row, and the rest of the rows are values. So it's kind of expecting it to be in this type of format. It could also be in this format too, where there are no header rows or no headers. And then the other one is, it could be a multiple worksheet Excel workbook like this. So this one, again, it has a header row and values per row, but this one, it has completely different field names. And that's the thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to take any arbitrary set of fields and their data and turn them into our destination type. Because the reason that we're using this is because the client, my client, sends samples that need to be analyzed by a lab. The lab does the analyses and they send us back. And the lab sends us back an arbitrary workbook that is formatted to where the first row has headers and the rest of the rows have data, but we don't know what those columns are. Where was I? I keep thinking you're saying header row, and oh geez, so did I. Header row. Right? That was just confusing. Heterogeneous, is that better? All of these workbooks must have heterogeneous data. That will be homogeneous on an individual basis and in very specific situations, but okay, enough of that. Yeah, because like it's very straightforward to import the workbooks into a data set. There's already a library out there called Excel Data Reader, and I am using that as part of the reading process. But then to be able to take, here's the mapping, a mapping that they gave me. To be able to take the lab sample ID column and output it to the lab analysis number and the analysis number column. Let's say specifically, no, I just pushed back, not what I meant. Let's say specifically it was on this data set. Okay, I'll show that now then, because I really need to get a grasp on this. If we look at the individual values for this lab sample ID column, then we can see that there are a couple of formats for it. There's one where it's 3 set of numbers dash 6 set of numbers dash 1 number. There's one that has characters at the end. There's one that has a slash instead of a dash at the end, and characters at the beginning and the end with dashes and stuff. So they need to be able to transform the value in this column, however it appears, into a value that looks like oh my goodness, show me a browser that's on this screen. This might not be the right application to use to see them. And data. Yeah, let's do northwest boundary influent. Do you use ChemRec? Do you have a lab analysis number? No. Time versus concentration? Oh, I need a, dang it. I need a site. I don't think I'll be able to actually, oh, this. Does this one require a site? No, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, you can only see lot number, but imagine that one of the fields, actually, are there fields that output to lot number? Lot, no. No, there are no fields that are going to output to lot number from this import data. Point is, imagine, if you will, that this lot number needed to be extracted from the lab sample ID field somehow, either by pulling out the second sequence of numeric values, of numeric characters, and prefixing it with, if the analyte is arsenic, then AR. If the analyte is selenium, then SE. Mercury, IG, something. AG, AG, etc., etc. And actually, this kind of looks like it has the lot number in it. But not all of them have a value. Great. So anyway, you get the point. This is what the data comes in looking like, and we need to transform it. Actually, here's a better idea. Let me not do that. Let me pull up this, and I'm going to go to my secret screen in case it opens on the main screen. Do you want to see a magic trick? Yep. Okay. No. Or we're going to go to the ending screen. Sure. Stream's over. We're done. Bye. What's my password again? What's my age again? Trust server certificates. So complex rules based on the field and the parsed transform data can take from more than one imported data column. Exactly. And then consider one more step. I can show the desktop again. Consider one more transformation rule that says, do a condition. If matrix, after transforming it, the value comes back as W. So we have some kind of thing that will map water to W, whether it's a substring, give me the first character, or an actual lookup list that says if you see water, replace it with W. If that says W, then make the analysis method W dash analysis method. Otherwise, ignore the entire row import, because we don't care about importing non-water records for this import process. I guess something more likely to happen is if the sample is a control sample that looks like these, then ignore them. Or if it's a duplicate, then ignore it. Don't import those. Only import the ones that are the actual results of analyzing our fluids. Exactly. But the cool thing is that I'm currently not worried about like a condition that says if this field is something, then ignore the whole record. I'm still going to let them all get transformed without any kind of condition on it, but a check mark next to the ones that we actually want to use as, do all of the transforms and then show the output result in a table, and then a check mark that says these are the only ones that I want to use. Exactly. And that's why I keep getting lost. Like, again, the very simple approach is take a file, turn it into a data set with a data table, choose the field that you want to import from, and map it to your destination property. And I thought that was going to take like a week, only because I doubled the amount of time I thought it would actually take me. And so setting that up took a day. And then I got the crosswalk that says lab sample ID comes from lab analysis number, or lab sample ID goes into lab analysis number and analysis number. Yeah, okay, totally okay. Here, allow me to do this, if you will. I will beg for your allowance. Refactoring with refactoring. Okay, so I'm going to commit this, and we're going to Kansas City. We're going to the end of Monday's stream. Check out. Yes. This is very, very odd. This is not what I was expecting to see. How do I do this? Excuse me, I want to check out just before Monday's... Oh, I probably picked the wrong one. Wait, no. Here we go. Good grief. Okay, so the end of Monday's stream would be here. I'm going to Kansas City, although I usually say city in a different way. Okay, and then only after that step 1 do you start doing any processing messaging. Event sourcing. That's the word. Okay, let's make sure that this builds, but I'll show you the overall process as it is. That works pretty nicely, and I could use what I currently have to accomplish the majority of what we need. Except that we are already running, so can't build. The only thing that we can't do with what I have is combining multiple imported fields into one destination field. Okay, build succeeded. Let's hope this was my most recent browser. When did your marks made Titan become a word? My marks made Titan became one word when I realized the importance of practicing and persevering. I love you, Automated Realms. You're amazing. Okay, so we're going to use that field that has the lab sample ID column. This is the overall flow of how I am anticipating it going. This isn't the final UI or anything. I picked a file. I could have either clicked on browse or drag and dropped a file, and I drag and drop the file. When I dropped the file, it used data file import to read the file into a data set. Since it only had one sheet that had data on it, it only created one data table. If it had multiple sheets, it would have created multiple data tables, and I would have picked the table that I want to work with at the moment. Just to keep it simple for now, we're going to use the one that only has one data sheet, one data table, or so he says. Did I crash it? Okay, no, just took a second. Then, so this is just reading the file and displaying it on screen. That's step 1. Step 2 would have been, now for every output type, for every property of the output type. So find the output type to be a chem_rec object. And this is taken directly from the database. It was reverse engineered. I didn't update the property names to match C# naming structure or anything like that. These match how it looks in the database. One day I'll fix the entities to look better, but for now, this is what they are in the database. Let's say that I wanted to map that lab analysis number and analysis number. It said that it comes from lab sample ID. So let's say that that's just the beginning of step 2. I'm picking fields to map to my destination object type from the imported file. But then we know that we aren't taking the entire lab sample ID and putting that in lab analysis number and analysis number. We need to transform those values. So the lab analysis ID is going to get, I'm going to match on every numeric value, every numeric group. And I'm only going to put together the first dash second result. And so my output value for the lab analysis number is going to be the combination of the first and second set of numbers after doing a regex. So even if I'm using something that looks like this, I'm still getting the first group of numbers and the second group of numbers with a dash in between them. Then for the analysis number, that is going to be the same rule, but I have to rewrite it anyway. Match all numeric groups, which of course I would want to make a UI so that the user, the end user, the scientist working at Rocky Mountain Arsenal or the technician or whatever their titles are called, working at the arsenal doesn't need to know regular expression syntax. Just a UI that kind of says match every group of numbers. Interpolate would have some kind of UI instead of needing to understand my syntax that I decided to use for the interpolate. So anyway, we want just the number for the analysis number. And now I've mapped that, and then I have some button that I push, and then it generates the output. It generates my stuff that's going to be dumped into the database, or have the records processed and then dumped into the database. But as I said before, there are situations where I'm going to want to look up the current value from the column and give me back another standard value. I'm going to want to do a calculation where if the units are in micrograms, if the units are in micrograms, turn them into milligrams, which means that the result would need to be multiplied by 1,000, divided by 1,000, multiplied by 1,000. So that example was 1 import field, 2 business fields. Yes, exactly that. And so as you can see, my UI says start with a field no matter what. However, the new logic needs to be start with a transform rule that could be combine values from multiple fields, do a conditional based on multiple fields, based on the values in other fields, and then within that conditional, do the transforms for what the output should be. One conditional would be if the result is non-detect is ND, then the actual result will be negative 999.99. But in that case, that could just as easily be a result. It would go down here somewhere. Value. volume. That volume would be if result do a string replace nd negative 888.88 or negative 999.99. It just gets better, doesn't it? I love how in the database they gave us values like negative 999.99 means non-detect. Negative 999.98 means something else. Negative 888.88 means dry. And it's like, what are you doing? That sounds like business logic that you're storing in tables. What are you doing? Okay, and I'm going to show one last thing before we get back to it. Order by sample date, descending. Give me sample date descending. And this database was created in like 2008 or something. Let's go with this one here. Let's go with these records. Copy. Okay, so here is a sample set of records that we're trying to transform this into. So let's look at what this lab analysis number looks like and the analysis number. So yeah, we're getting some a string of numbers followed by a string of characters. And then the lab analysis number is a single digit, and it's actually an incremental digit for which number of the analysis of the sample that we sent to them is this. Ooh. There's a lot. This table has cancel. Who's trying to run a query? This table has select count star. Uh, 683,000 records. Records of sample data that we got back from labs with the earliest min samp date, with the earliest record being from where samp date is not blank and samp date is not null. 1975. Yes. Okay. So do you have something to detect if some rule or set of rules or whatever fails to achieve whatever it's trying to do? Yes. And I didn't actually go over that object type, but it is worth going over. Let's close this. Oh, and actually we can see it in action here real quick, just so we can see what it looks like. Let's say that we are trying to do a regex where we are matching on only the numeric sequences, and then we're trying to do another regex on top of it. Something that I cannot do, something that I do not allow, is for you to do a regex on a previous transformation that will result in a collection of values. And so I have one method that says error if collection, and any of your implemented value transformation bases can first call error, I think it's error if collection, or throw error if collection, one of those. And if it throws that, then it returns a new transformation, or the original transformation result that you get when you're inputting with error message equals, and in this case, the operation cannot be applied to a collection of values. And then the overall result of the entire transformation, which is every value operation on that one field. Yeah, in this case, one field, also shows an error occurred while applying the transformation. See the transforms above for more information. And then you look up here and you're like, oh, this can't be done on something that's a collection. So all of that is written and it works. And again, I could ship it, or I could incorporate this into the actual product now, but we wouldn't be able to combine values from different fields, as well as we wouldn't have all of the possible value transformations like trim and pad left and all of that stuff. Yeah, so the other thing that will happen is, let's say not all of them error. Then you can see all of the current values for the field that you selected and which ones errored and which ones didn't. And again, this is all just like a really quick thrown together UI that proves that you can do it. I'm sure that I would have filters on here for only show errored ones. Thank you. It'll be nice progress until you see what I've done after Monday's stream. So I just checked out the commits that I did just after Monday's stream before doing all of the work that I'm doing now, because I'm trying to get the combined fields to work. And I've totally revamped quite a few things. Hi, Radio Patrick. Happy day to you, whatever day of the week it is. Shout out to Radio Patrick. Radio Patrick is working on a radio website, hooking up, oh my gosh, hooking up some front-end stuff to the back-end APIs, working in Dart and another front-end technology. I've lost it. Anyway, check out his stream. Really good times over there. When you do stream. Oh, no. I just need to be able to catch you more often. That's all. Been stuck on a couple gnarly memory leaks in the back end that I'm trying to plug for the last few days. Oh, is that why you haven't been streaming? I think I figured it out with a bit of help from TBD. Awesome. TBD, you're awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we are close. I really don't like the print lines. We are gonna save. Why did you go over here? I'm gonna reopen the file so that I don't have the print lines. Because we don't need to print the internet. Okay. So once again, what this Excel worksheet represents is the class structure in a hierarchical kind of way, because I wasn't really understanding the Lucidchart one. I wasn't able to look at it and be like, okay, inside of imported data file, I have this dictionary of table name. Yeah. Why did I use that one as the example? I have this list of field mappings. And those field mappings are defined here. And this is what a field mapping looks like. A field mapping has a mapping rule base, and this is what a mapping rule base looks like. And base is the future. I've mostly only been streaming, not been streaming, because it's stressful and time consuming to get ready to move across the country. Right, I remember that. But that's part of it, certainly. And unfortunately, we had our first snow today in the West, or in Colorado at least. Ooh. Maybe and yes. Snow? I love snow. Texas doesn't. That's sad to hear. I love rain, and Colorado doesn't. Fingers crossed I can get out there before the snow gets too bad. Reg said it was 5 inches of snow already near where they live. President Not Sure said, I guess what I'm bringing up is something that was needed in products where I did this, is that it was needed to have a set of records from a particular file that had bad data for some reason, usually bugs in the client's code that generated the raw data file, so that we could let them have a way to more easily find the records that failed and correct them. Absolutely. The output, which I have not mocked up the UI for yet. It's 75 degrees there, where President Not Sure is. And for those of you in the places that use Celsius, it's like 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Any snow in Texas is bad since drivers are not used to it. Kind of sounds like California. So the output view would be this here. You could toggle between the existing record or the imported data and have a button maybe that toggles to what your output transformation will look like, and then be able to filter that entire thing so that you could see the entire row in a similar way that you can see the individual results for that column. And then for each of those rows, each of the fields, like let's say we had something called sample type, and the error occurred in this record. So the record's background would be like, I have at least one error in me, maybe some kind of light pink. And then the field that has the error would be dark red, something contrasty, of course, with the same iconography that you would see while you're configuring the value, so that you can see, all right, here's the entire record. I can get to that very easily that has at least one error, and then I can see the value that's causing the error. So I think we're going to have that, President Not Sure. And again, once I'm done with the actual library part of this, I will open source the library, and then I will do the implementation of doing it for these lab data files in the actual application, which is this beautiful thing here. Oops, must be zoomed in. Oh, I need to update this. That is no longer my contact info. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. So this entire process here, this is the thing that we need to be able to run on the records that get imported. Do you reject the record completely if there is greater than 0 errors? There is no rejecting the record until you push the actual map button. So in the previewed results, it doesn't get rejected. But if you try to map with errors, then it will fail the entire mapping. Because the point is to have valid files to feed into this process, so that this process can then do all of the record checks it needs to say, all right, well, you're saying that this is non-detect, but the actual value that we got was above the minimum threshold for that method. No method, really? Interesting. Whatever. Okay, so that's how the app goes. Definitely feel free to keep asking questions and bringing things up. These are fantastic things to consider. We took care of this. So the other things to consider are when a record / row conversion has an error in the preview output, highlight row background. Make the field that has the field potentially plural, that has the error, stand out with the red triangle. Colors are subjective. Yeah, so in order to be able to import a file, then all of the records must be convertible from the source to the target. The other thing that I didn't fully mention is that some of these fields in the target type are going to be required fields. I don't like it when I do that. So if not all of the required fields have a mapping, then it will also error. And of course, the UI would need a way to be able to indicate, yo, you need to map this field and this field and this field at minimum. The scary bit to me is having multiple levels of rules for any given field depending on one or more other fields' data, and maybe even other fields' transformed data. Exactly. 100% yes, you're absolutely right. So when we're doing the combine rule that I was working on now, it is going to be pick the first field in order that you want them to be combined. Pick the first field, add any transformations to that using this UI. Pick your second, third, fourth, however many fields you're combining together. They all generate their transform result, and the mapping rule combine fields is the thing that tells you how am I going to combine these rules together using the same interpolation syntax that I was using before. Hello, Emporium guy. Happy Wednesday to you. Because I could see if what I said is true, there being like circular dependency situations. True, that's going to be hard to figure out. We can think about it. I'm going to write it down, as I mentioned. Also think about possibly circular dependencies. However, because I get to work closely with the client and the users of the app, and there are a few users, that's not going to be a problem for the app. For the library, that might get used by, like if I do publish it to NuGet, for example, as a NuGet package, then that's going to be an issue. That needs to be addressed. So we would need some way to detect if there is a circular dependency. Or even if it's possible to have a circular dependency. It might be possible not to have a circular dependency because every single one of these selected fields or mapping rules is independent of any other field or mapping rule. So let's say that for the corrected exponent, you do some calculation and you want your corrected mantissa to depend on the value in your output corrected exponent. You would need to do the same calculation to the field that you're depending on. So in this case, it would most likely be the result. And we're looking at the result and checking to see how do we get to the ones places. We divide by 10 to the third. So our corrected exponent is 3. So then corrected mantissa would need to be, I need to get to the tens places, so I need to divide by 10 to the 3 again in order to get the actual value. So they're independent. So there is no, this one depends on some calculation that this thing does, which depends on some calculation that this thing does. But yeah, Emporium Guy says, hello, Endlion, what's your secret to auth? I'm losing my head with identity with Blazor. My secret with auth is that I set it up once and I'm reusing the same exact methodology every time. For .NET 8 and above, the secret to auth is create a new project with individual authentication, let it scaffold all of the auth stuff for you, and move it to where you want it to be. Point it to your database. So for example, in this app that I recently converted to .NET 8 from .NET 7, maybe 6, it set up my authentication and authorization stuff for me. Oh, and I left the components in the project that it made for me. So it gave me all of this stuff. I turned identity email sender into my own email sender that I've already written for the app so that I have an email sender for any of my applications. It scaffolded these pages for me. And so I updated those pages to, again, point to my application user, point to my application identity database, which is the ASP.NET Core Identity DB context. And I've done that once in this app. So now I can extract this, turn it into a component library, and call that my authentication, Armit's authentication, actually probably Armit's auth.zn library. Oh, and then I also did the needed transforms or logic changes to be able to get stuff like the given name of the person who signed in, their roles, and get that in a way that I can use roles with. So did that actually answer your question though, Emporium Guy? File new project, Blazor web app, using the latest .NET version and individual authentication. Okay, President, not sure. I'll be here for a little bit longer, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Speaking of an hour and 20 minutes, I am going to step away for a quick break after I'm done talking with Emporium Guy, sorry. At the moment I'm using auth0 recommended by TBD, but I did lose hair with identity. Yeah, and it's like I'm not purposefully avoiding learning it. It's just that I don't have time with the massive amounts of applications I need to manage at the moment. Massive amounts. And especially this effort that I'm trying to do. But they gave us one out of the box that doesn't rely on any third-party libraries anymore. Like they used to rely on Duende Identity Server. And that was something that I was locked into for a while. And then Duende went with the freemium model and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of confusion as far as I'm concerned about how we should be using it. Should we be getting a license and not? But I'm converting all the apps to .NET 8 and they redid the auth.zn system that I don't even have to worry about that anymore. So I'm just going to convert everything to using it's essentially a backend for front-end approach that they gave us out of the box. But of course, this does rely on you hosting your own backend authentication server yourself. And mine just happens to be the backend of the application, the API for the application, since all of my applications have a server-side. Okay, I'm not going to be ignoring you. I promise I will read your message when I get back, but I need to take a really quick break because I'm filling myself up on water and I need to have less of it in me. Okay, back in a second. I'm going to go ahead and run adverts while I am doing this. Oh man, and if anyone has been talking on the YouTubes, we should see it in Twitch, but I promise I'm not ignoring you. But I haven't seen any chats. Okay, adverts. Okay, ad countdown is done. Heading back to the desktop. Oh yeah, did you see that seamless transition? Didn't help much though. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I really do need to make the impact zone a little wider. I'm pretty sure it's 1 pixel. So if you're approaching it from the top, then even though the height is like this, the width is like 1 pixel. But I don't know how to... Yeah. I don't know how to thing. Alright, Emporium Guy is finishing up his comment saying, fair. I'll post on the help channel if I'm stuck. Definitely do that. Absolutely, because I am going to get back to the import process. So we're going to get back to our current... whatever this is called. Wait, no. How do I switch to the most recent branch. While reattaching. Do I just pull latest? I think I just pull latest, right? No, because I'm detached. Oh, duh. I just picked the branch from here. Okay, there we go. Hop it, homie. Are you gonna tell us just how? Yeah, you still got 10 points. Wait, no. Your maximum total score was 10 points. Yeah, you still got 10 points for the arrow being in the air for... It would have had to have been 30 seconds if I'm dividing by 3. It wasn't close. I think it actually went to my next browser tab. Okay. So, coming back to the app, you can see that there are now errors when I pulled the current branch and the current work that I'm doing. So we're going to get rid of these errors first, and then we're going to work on implementing the remainder of the logic. I think that's going to help me a little bit. So you should be good. I need to go to you so that I can get rid of all of the issues. And actually, yeah, so that we can make sure... Oh. So that we can make sure that I get rid of all of the non-error red squigglies, I'm going to restart Visual Studio. So what I admitted to everyone, if you didn't hear that before, Tyron, and you are listening and you feel like listening, is that I have not... No, I will read that in a second, but it sounds fun. I have gotten to a point where, again, where I have lost track of the library and the approach that I was taking. Since I am trying to refactor from what you saw me demoing that was working with a copy to allow for combining multiple fields into a single field, into a single output. So Hinnon says, let's do git commit roulette. You take your last 100, not even 10, you take your last 100 commits, and which commit comes out of roulette, you have to force push it to the branch, resetting its head. It's easy and fun. That does not sound fun. Sounds hilarious, but not fun. I will not do that. Okay. Sorry, I was eating my lip. Really tasty. I really don't like that the dispose recommendation. Actually, you know what? CA1816. I'm going to get rid of CA1816. I think it goes in a property group. It's called ignore. Oh gosh, it's in one of my CS projects. Does anyone have a reference to a the rule that you put inside of your CS proj to ignore a... I don't even know how to word it. That's kind of annoying. Come on, I just recently did this. So like if I wanted to ignore a warning, then there is a way to configure a property group item to not show me a green squiggly for that warning. Drop table boss of Duca. CS Lewis. That's exactly what I'm looking for. CS ignore warning. CS proj. Suppress compiler warnings. Suppress, I think, is the word. No warn. Oh my goodness. It's no warn. Obviously not tired of boss. Kind of seems like you are. Great, now I have to close all of these CS projects. Okay, that was the warning for dispose. You are weird because you need to override. And we'll get back to you. Right. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Dispose. CA1816. So does no warn also work on suggestions? It does not work on suggestions. No. Ooh. Ooh, it does work on suggestions. Good. Okay, so it's gonna stop suggesting turn this into a full dispose. And the thing that happens in my code is that I rarely ever have unmanaged code, so I don't need the full dispose pattern. Obviously not tired of boss. It's like, please do this after it's done. I don't like this. Now it's not working like it was before. Hint, it was never working like you just said. And yes, absolutely yay to that. Okay, let's go through and clean up these errors. we are not doing the is empty, and the is empty will always return false for you. So that means that I'm going to make it read only and set it once, and inherit doc. What's going on with apply? Apply is a task of IEnumerable. Is it? Really? I believe you. I believe you. How about an empty array? Numerable dot empty transformation result. Okay, that'll work. That's done. Next. Man, I wish that cleared off faster. Come on, linter. Well, in that case, it's still, so like the get arrows is still going to need to reevaluate every time versus, well, like let's say that this was more of a static value, like a new string instead of just false. False works just fine because you don't need to allocate very much, but let's say like string name is going to be ignore. If we did string arrows name, and this is just very non-important in this case. If we did it like this, then it would create a new string ignore every time that we tried to access name. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just in the habit of just setting it outside. Duca says, there's also this kind of deal. Me, the external drive is empty. Boss, no it isn't. Me, sitting with the drive in hand. Yes it is. Boss, no it isn't. Duca's house, like, it weighs like nothing. There's nothing on here. If there was stuff on here, it would weigh more. I need a long holiday. Okay. Field transformation. Okay, so we don't have field transformations there, but we do have it on mapping rule. Source fields. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Nope. Again, I'm not trying to make these work at the moment. I'm just trying to clean up the errors. There is no apply transformations. We're just going to do this. And then we're going to go through and implement all of these after we clean up the errors. So source fields, in case you're wondering, is a list of field transformations. It's just what I named it to make it more clear what exactly those are. And if I wanted to be super clear, I think it would make more sense for me to call them source field transformations, so that we know that what we're doing with the items in this list is getting a value from a field, a specific field that was imported, and transforming it using this rule, this operation or set of operations. We'll get rid of the green squigglies because mapping rule is nullable. So what I'm going to do for every single one of these is first make sure that the mapping rule is not nullable and, or is not null, and gosh, may as well. Not x.ignore mapping. And at this point, we know that mapping rule is not null. So the thing that the linter needs to do for us now is in chained expressions like this, where it's using enumerator lambda stuff, that it sees that this is filtering out any null these things. Remove toList and use .any instead of count. I agree with you, because I watched a no, you're good. I love this. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. I watched a Mads Torgerson thing when he was talking about the improvements they made to the way that .any and stuff work, where it picks the best possible, most efficient path for your enumerable type. However, watch this. I get the dots. I get the multiple dots that says, I have a suggestion to you. And the suggestion is prefer comparing count to 0 rather than using .any, both for clarity and for performance. I was like, this is kind of contrary to what I most recently heard. Oh, even if you remove the .toList, there is no .count, of course, if you remove the .toList, except as a method. And I'll tell you the reason that I made that decision too. So here I could use the .count is greater than 0, or not. Oh yeah, or any. But I am also iterating through that list again. So instead of evaluating it twice, or however many times string.join will evaluate it, I'm only evaluating it once up front, and then using the list directly here. I guess, don't optimize for error cases? I could buy that. But it would be inconsistent with the way that I do the rest of the code. Anyway, I'm good with it. I like it. Yeah, again, I appreciate it. Yeah. It's talking nanoseconds. Okay, so that's all cleared up. I need to do a null check for you as well. Mapped fields only. Aha. Once again, this is a situation where I, the developer, know that when I do mapped fields only, we're doing a, in the long run, no, we're not. Oh yeah, we are. In the long run, we're doing a null check on mapping rule. So if we look at the definition of mapping rule type, we'll see that it says if mapping rule is null, then use mapping rule.ignore. And so the filter here for give me the mapped fields only, which says only give me the ones where the mapping rule type is not ignore, will make sure that none of these mapping rules are null. So I can guarantee at this point in time that the mapping rule is not null. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I can hear it, and you are absolutely right. What happens if the implementation changes? Then we will get errors. And that's why we have tests on apply transformation anyway. Even though I haven't written the test for them yet, but we have tests for the apply transformation. Stop reading my mind. It's not reading your mind, okay? It's just NI. I promise. No, it really is just NI. It's introverted intuition. Stop asking so many questions. Okay, moving on. He's a funny guy. Sorry, I can't turn off my mind. Turn my mind off. See, I can read your mind better than I can read words. I keep rebuilding because I want this list to update. Didn't I do an actual rename of this? I could have sworn I did a rename. Just in case, we're going to go back here, rename you to data, and then rename you to data set so that I make sure the rename did take. Great. No overload for apply takes 0. For a field transformation, right, because I made it private. And in fact, it's no longer called apply, it's called update transformation results. But wait. Oh, apply. Cool. How about now? Thank you. So that, yeah, now that is a sync, which is also new. And again, if you see any areas that while we're touching them, they could use easy to apply enrichments, then I'd be happy to try them. But if it's going to take more effort, then I'd rather just write it down and move along. You are no longer nullable. In fact, the issue here is that you are async now. Scod. Oh, except that field transformation is nullable, and that's why we needed to do that. Oops. So await field transformation dot apply. Oh, what do we do in the case of a nullable object that has an asynchronous method that I'm trying to call? You would, oh, right, you can't await null is what this thing is telling me. So like one approach that I could use, yeah, I like that one better, the one that Tyron wrote. One that I could use is task.fromResult enumerable empty transformation result, which then, is that what you give me? Oh. Yeah, I don't know why this doesn't work, but the one that Tyron had was better anyway. It's a lot more clear to read. Hello, Code Melon. I mean, Coda Melon. Oops. So if we have a field transform, then we return await field transform.apply, not nullable. Otherwise, enumerable.empty, which we can now use the collection. No parentheses needed. He's getting things all over the place now. Okay. Field transform is not null. We're doing a null check on field transform. Why are you still indicating that it's possibly null? Oh gosh. I do that all the time. Yeah, I could do the is something. I have preferred to use the is not null because I'm not checking any properties of the object. So I don't need to check to see, is this a property with, or is this an object with these property values? And this just reads better. In my opinion. But I definitely have been using the is something is how I read it out loud to myself when I am checking a property value as well. And this is actually is a class with property field name is not null. Oh man, watch yourself. Oh gosh. Oh, what do you see? Where do I need to go back to? Yes, I had an iRead-only list that I needed to .toList on. I believe it's here. Yes. I've been changing to use immutable list or as read-only. I need to learn about those. Okay. Instead of iRead-only list, and I have this in a few places where I don't want the collection itself to be modified. I didn't know how to prevent the elements within the list from being modified. But I'm guessing that's what the immutable list does. There's also frozen set, says Scott. Yeah, I will definitely look into these because they sound like they're going to give me the behavior that I'm actually looking for. Oh, jeez. You can't lock the items unless you use init-only records. Okay. Yeah, and these are not init-only. They can be, they actually are modified more often. So the whole point behind this read-only list is I want to force the developer that's using the library to use the add transformation method to do this because I am using this on definition change.invoke. Right, but there is also other logic that happens for add transformation. Right, duh. So I didn't want the developer that's using this library to have to be concerned with, this is a read-only list. So how exactly do I add elements to it? Yeah, I need to reconsider that. I'll talk about that with you guys when we get a little further on, but I definitely, yeah, I wrote it down for sure, along with Scott's comments and stuff. Oh man, my task list is starting to grow a bit. It's not even giving me all of my tasks. Yeah, but I'll clean that up. Okay, active data table is not accessible from file mapper state. What? This is private set. No, it's public get though. Oh, setting it is not. Duh. I mean, I really don't care about this because I'm not liking this mapper state anyway. I was thinking of changing that into something more like a oh poop. Wait, what? I was thinking of changing it into something that does more like a controller or for the entire library. This state is specifically for the UI library that I'm writing on top of the core utility library. Ooh. Who's sending this to me? Oh. Wait, what? Hold on, sorry, I got something from work that I need to understand what I'm reading. It's from someone that I don't know, but it does have me and my handler. And the original message was addressed to my handler, aka the contract manager. Yeah, okay. Let me respond to this real quick. Oh, I guess while I'm doing this, if you did have anything else that you saw. So Juan Van likes the verb update for this. What I was trying to say before is I would prefer to have a controller or an engine that will handle the internal state of like a session. Yeah, it'll handle a session of the data import library, and it'll do things like telling us what the active data table is, have methods for you to call to apply all of the mappings to everything. Oh, the to-do update. Oh, yes. I don't exactly know what that is. Those are the best to-dos ever. Don't use to-dos. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay. If I respond to this, though, is it going to reply to... All right, let me Let me read the actual message. I like how the meeting is scheduled for 12:30 today. Oh no. Oh gosh. I was like, it's scheduled for 12:30 today, and they just now sent me an email about it at 12:11. But anyway, it's next week, Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. Did you send this to everyone or just me? Kind of looks like he sent this to everyone. Oh man. My bad. Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself? Okay. Email responded. He was shooting off into space. So for the state thing, again, we're gonna redo the UI anyway. This was just a scaffold of what we could do. I'm gonna go ahead and allow this to be public set. Because it didn't look like there was anything else that I am doing. Excuse me. Any extra special logic that I was doing. There is no source fields because I moved them into mapping rule. And you are no longer called source field, you are called source field transformations. I'm not going to set you as guaranteed not nullable because I need to check that first. Oh, hush. So I'm going to go for about another 30 minutes. My phone says so. Rules, source field transformations. Hold on. More work-related stuff. I thought that was a Teams message, but it was just a regular email. Okay, you and you are mapping rule, and you are source field transformations. Take build, update my list. All right, actually, I am going to look for anything that says field mapping dot source fields and turn it into field mapping dot mapping rule. It is called mapping rule, right? Mapping rule dot source fields is going to turn into source field transformations. And we're just going to do it. I said, and we're just going to do it. That was the last one. Really. Value transformations cannot be assigned to directly. Again, this is in my components. Right. Okay. Okay. So the thing that's going on here is in my UI for the value configuration, the one where I was picking regex, interpolated string, etc. I'm doing that on a clone of the existing value transformations until I apply them. And this is essentially the apply all of them. So I think I need one more method for not just replace transformation, but replace transformations. And what this should be able to do is, wait, why am I not setting these? I need to replace capital value transformation in all of these because when I am replacing the value transformations, I'm unsubscribing from the on definition changed event for all of our existing transformations and then setting the new set of transformations to the read-only list and then subscribing to each of the on definition changed of those new ones. This could mean that I'm unsubscribing from the same and resubscribing to the same, but because I'm replacing the entire read-only list, I think what I ran into before was that the references were actually changed with my to list. And if I read one of Tyrant's messages, I'm sure it'll say something about concrete class thing in there. So it could just be a brand new reference as it is. Okay, so that takes care of that. No such thing as value type. There is too a such thing as oh. Wait, what? I did a rename on this too. Okay, so I renamed it from field type to from value type to field type because that made more sense. And it made it more consistent with the rest of the properties that I had before. Okay, good. There are no field transformations in the field itself, but there are in mapping rule. And it's called source field transformations. And this gets added to mapping. we may as well check for this, since it's there. I'm sure that was the intended logic. Again, I'm not caring too much about these satellite libraries and the component library at the moment. Excuse me. All right, so same here. Oh, I didn't actually fix this, but you were supposed to be update transformations. Did I not even actually write the method? We have add transformation, replace. Oh, replace transformations. I'm gonna call you set. Because it's not like I am only replacing the ones in the list or matching in some way. It is actually resetting the transformations to the provided list. Okay, is this in a lot of places? Because no, it's only in this one other place. Oops. And that's something that I forgot on the other one. Okay, and then I have a red in here because your data's set. Why aren't these updating? Oh my goodness. And you are now set data. I mean, it was good that you errored and all, but I updated that property name using the rename refactor tool. Copy rule apply. Apply is now my tests are broken. Apply is now asynchronous. You are now called is error. Nope. You probably are still called was failure, but async. Okay. ¿Quién más? No definition of data. Set. Crap, should I be able to init this? The reason I don't is because there is logic inside of set data that takes an extra parameter. So no. Instead, data file, set data. Delete, move, then update. Oh my gosh. How do I update the field descriptors and the field mappings? Refresh. Refresh. False. Do all tables. Refresh fields. False for preserve. Again, this is all in the test library. This is for table name. Import table.name. So not super duper concerned. You are missing this. String empty because we don't care about the tables themselves when we are trying this operation. Okay. Cool. Just for giggles and shiggles, I'm gonna run all of the tests to see what's broken. And there's a lot broken. There are 3. Oh, there are only 3 tests that are broken. Really? That's awesome. And my sanity test doesn't work. Oh, no. That's why I have the sanity test, because if I change import data file and I'm changing the way that the data file gets set, I need to make sure that there are records in the data file. That's fun. Let's do it this way and see what happens. We're going to add stuff to the data table first, and then dataset.tables.add, import table. So that we make sure that we get the data table added. That will add rows and all of that stuff. The rows get added to the import table. Then we go data file dot set data dataset. Get rid of this. Build. Run test after build. Why are you still showing as failed? Oh, the key import was not given in the dictionary. Which one of you? Did I name the data set before? That's probably what happened. Okay, build. Check again. Find out which one of these is actually failing. Brother failing. Okay, so the given key import was not present in the dictionary. The data set was null. Okay, so the data set was null. here. If data file is null, prepare data file. Create a new data file. We're initializing the data set. We're creating a new table, adding that table to the data set, populating that table, which is called import table, with rows of data. Then we are setting the data to data set. Refreshing the field descriptors. Data set is not null. What? How is that? How is my sanity check failing? Oh. 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 I'm calling it when you try to access the getter or data file from my import data objects. So if data file is null, then that happens. But what's really happening is that I do need to set the data. So how was I populating the data table field descriptors this early? Oh, ya veo. Ya veo. Okay, that's fine. That's good. That means that I don't actually need the field descriptors at the moment. Oh my gosh. I've broken my my way of setting up the data. I don't need to add the field mappings and field descriptors at the moment, is what's happening. It would have been nice to do this now. But I'm not setting those up now. I don't know. It's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. We'll be okay. The thing that I do need, well, actually I do need the field descriptor still, because I do want to call this update value set for each of them. All right, let's just see what happens with our test. Nope. It's okay. Whew. What is it? Control ER, Control RE. Which one is the one to run all tests and debug? Well, I don't want to run all tests and debug. I just want to run this one and debug. Or T. Okay, we actually got the data this time. And that's true, that's true, that's true. All tests pass. Okay, so now we just have to worry about the mapping rules not working the way that they're supposed to. And where are we trying to get first only? I believe we're trying to get first from here. So maybe it didn't populate our field mappings. How do I mute you without declining the call? I think I just did. Okay, I'm gonna turn the sanity test into individual test for each of these. Import data, data set exists. Also fact. Excuse me. Just gonna do it this way. Sorry if that was really loud. I just realized that I coughed super loudly, potentially into the microphone, and it didn't get filtered out. I mean, these are my sanity tests. It doesn't even matter. Please have your 3, 4, 5 gallon also effect. Why did you do the previous one correctly? So like for all of these, we are making the assumption that data set is not null. And those aren't testing that data set is null or not. We have a test specifically for that. So if these are failing because of that, it will be because the first test is failing. Okay. And the reason that I did that is because I want to make sure that we also have data field mappings for the import table. Field descriptors first. and that it has field mappings for the target type. Do we have field mappings? Did I tell it to populate field mappings? I don't think I told it to populate field mappings. So this is a lie. Build. I'm assuming this one's gonna fail, and that's why we're getting the sequence has no elements error. It didn't fail. So why are we getting the sequence has no elements? Your sequence has no elephants. Which test was it? The copy rule? Okay. F11. Dude, I F11'd. You're supposed to step into and show me the get. Dagnabbit. Not you. Wait, why is that one now saying test is passed? Oh, you're fine. Aw, I hope I didn't. I use that a lot. Okay, try again. Yeah, I mean, it did hit the breakpoint there, so probably my step into property getters is disabled. Do you happen to know how to turn that off? If not, I can write it down as something that I want to, or not turn off, but get back. Disable step into getters, probably on. Turn it off. Okay. Data table field mappings is empty. Data table field mappings is empty. True. It is. Okay, I have an idea. All right, tools, options, probably debugger. Let's just take a quick look if it takes more than a minute, I guess. C#. Oh. Dynacore, nope. In Windows Subsystem for Linux. Step over properties under debugging, not debugger. Got it. Step over properties. We don't want to step over properties. I want to step into. I use that a lot. Okay, so in order to fix this thing, I am going to cheat and say data file dot set type to a field transformation. Must be a non-abstract. This is a record. Wait, field transformations are not records. Oh, but it must have an empty parameter list constructor. Got it. Yes, that works. I don't know. Set target type as a I don't know why I can't even think of any of my models now. Value map is a value map. Wait. Value map has required members. Oh dear. Public class dummy object. There. So what did I have before? Oh. 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 What I was doing was populating the field the field mappings using the columns from the imported data. And I need to do that. This is where it would have been smarter to not use a real-ish type. I need the JSON to C# class quick type. Quick type. Dude, isn't quick type in my favorites? Quick type. app.quicktype.io. To Swift. Yes. Absolute. Can I turn off JSON? Yes. Okay, so my dummy object is going to have these properties. Okay, habanero. I still feel like I'm not making any progress with what I'm trying to do. Okay, all of my tests pass. I have updated the structure, the object structure, to match import data file with whole bunch of field mappings per table by table name. And each field mapping has the mapping rule, and each mapping rule has the source fields that it's going to get its values from to apply that mapping rule to, which is going to give us the ultimate value for that field mapping object, which is our destination output field. This will allow us to combine multiple fields into one output field, multiple input fields into one output field. That part's done. I am going to commit first because our tests are passing. Refactored structure. So refactored structure. I'm going to commit all. I'm going to squash these. And I'm going to squash everything that says whip into this one commit. Did that not? Oh, because I didn't do it on this one. What? Man, this song is so good. It's so chill. Okay, then I am going to push and then squash. And then just for giggles, we're going to run the app and see if any of the functionality still works in the UI, in the sample UI. How you doing, cat? Oh, we're nearing the end of the stream. I am going to do more work on this for 30 more minutes, and then end my workday. But I wanted to raid someone and be able to hang out in their stream and not just like run off and start doing more work. I'll push that in a second after I squash these. And actually it should be these, and I like that refactored file handling and data transformation logic comment better. So I'll push. I will go down to here because this is when I started doing all of that mess. No, I can't squash when I've merged like that. Oh, that sucks. No. Whatever. That's going to stay in my commit history until the end of time. We'll live with it. I didn't know that I had to do it all in one go. Mamma blamma. Yeah, I could, but I could also roll back. Yeah, I shouldn't. In this case, I really shouldn't care all that much about it. I will push, which will cause me to pull, then push. Sync. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this just to see what happens. Again, this is the sample UI that I'm putting on top of it, but it's also the skeleton, the scaffolding, the initial setup of the component library that I plan to release with the data utility import. You're missing an XML comment. No, you aren't. Anyway, that's one thing that I like to have cleaned up. Line 134. No, I don't. Well, since this is intended to be a library that gets, that is going to be open source and everything, I want to have XML comments on everything. So that's why I turn on the generate documentation. I mean, Copilot writes the majority of the comments anyway. It's just I verify that it is doing. Yeah, and this is completely wrong. Replaces all value transformations with the provided value transformations, all existing. Now what do you say for this? That works. Cake. Anyway, and then I saw a few more. Oh yeah, the null reference, but I'll definitely take care of those. I absolutely want to make sure that I am doing null checks for everything that needs a null check, and that I'm 100% certain that the things that have null forgiveness operators on them are never going to be null. But we ran it and it opened on a different screen, but we want to check it here. We have Control F5 just to make sure this isn't cached. We have a data file picker component. Does the import process work still? It gave me the right UI for it. It doesn't say that it crashed. And it did load the file. It took a little bit longer than I was expecting it to. I don't exactly know what that lag was just then, but it did give us the red file contents. Field Mapper UI. We have the Field Mapper UI. We have the new combined fields. The copy rule. Do you still work copy rule? We want the value from lab sample ID. Sure, why not? Value transformations. Regular expression. Give me all numeric groups, followed by an interpolation of the first item returned from the all numeric groups. This is working still. This is working still. All I have to do now is implement the combined fields UI to be able to interact with it. But first, of course, write all of my tests for combined fields. I'm not going to do UI first. Thank you for saying that, Tyron. I am going to write my tests for combined fields to make sure that this rule will combine the values of all of the fields that are used for this output using the specified interpolation. It's pretty much going to be the interpolation that I was using here. But across multiple fields results. And each of those individual fields can have a set of transformations applied to them. I'm this close. I'm going to get this done. You're going to see the results of it on Friday afternoon, because I still plan on doing the stream after the community day, but we are going to have community day still. But it's so close. It's so close. Happy about that. Okay, anyway, that's it for my day. I'm going to stop here so that I can raid out and hang out in the person's stream for a little bit, instead of just raiding and being like, okay, I'm ending my workday. I'm going away now to do music. Because that's what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to do more music. But thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your input. Peter says he was here for 5 minutes at least. Probably here for longer, but just quiet the whole time. I appreciate your energy, your being here. Yeah, thank you, President. Thank you, Tyron. Thank you, Scott. Kat. Oh, I missed an actual message from Kat. Sorry about that. Said, well, I attended a lecture about going to university in the United States. It was intriguing. I'll let politic, think about it further, see if I can get a scholarship and decide according to that. Very cool. Well, I hope everything works out the way that you want it to. I know it's going to work out the way that it's supposed to, but maybe those two things will line up for you. and just be amazing. I updated my message, which says that I'll be back again on Friday, because I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting either at 9:30 or 10:30, depending on how my morning exercise routine goes and when I make it to my computer, how much stuff I need to clean up before starting the stream. But no later than 10:30 is when I'll start my streams. Community Day will start at 10:30. I'm not going to start my streams earlier for Community Day or anything. And we are now UTC -7 again. And what else is there? The VOD for this will post to YouTube immediately after I end the stream, because I am streaming on both YouTube and Twitch, which is cool. Feel free to join our Discord if you're not already a member of our Discord, but also don't feel pressured to if you're already a member of way too many Discords. Completely understand. Ours is pretty quiet, but full of really, really cool people that will not berate you for asking a question. They will actually just be like, well, here's what I know, or can you clarify, if they have time. The worst thing that could happen is nobody answers your question because nobody is available to, or they just aren't feeling like it at that moment. But yeah, I think that's everything. We got the Discords, we got the YouTubes, we got Community Day coming on Friday. So I'll see you then. We're gonna raid out to Irish John Games. Just so you know, his stream is marked for mature audiences. He does use colorful language, like it's a part of regular language, because it kind of is. But if you don't appreciate that kind of language, then you definitely don't have to stick with us on the raid. But I do recommend joining us, because it's fun times over on his streams. He's a game developer working on a game called Rise of Piracy, and you can see more about it on Steam here, or on Micropost website. Woo, I got it. Thank you, Dukasoft Bot, for being the best. Thank you, Dukasoft, for being the best. Big Gamey, thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be around. Ciao for now. Waves. Again, this could be AR. It might not even be my own arm. You don't know. Could be AI generated. You don't know.